How many times have you heard somebody say, "I'm grinding"? I'm a businessman. I'm really in my head just grinding it out. And then some time goes by and nothing changed in their life. Or like the change was so minuscule. It's like, oh, what were they really grinding on? Like you just think about it, and you just see their progress on social media, or when you just talk to them straight up, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm fully focused, I'm locked in, I'm grinding in this, and still the same exact thing is there. And that got me thinking, because I see a lot of larpers like that on social media and everywhere. And to be honest, I used to be like that one too, so I mean, speaking from experience. But see this bunch of larpers just thinking like they're just grinding things out, working on their stuff and goals, and it's like most of the time it's just 1 or 2 hours of really focused work, and then the entire day just procrastinating, going back and forth with the actual work. So it's not really grinding, it's just 1 or 2 hours of very uncomfortable actual focused work, actual grind. But aside from larping, what got me thinking is like people tend to take this grind slop to a level where everything that you do in life has to be grinded out. Big or small, you just have to grind it out. You have to optimize it fully and everything. And I just think, no, I don't think so. Because depending on the person you are, depending on the type of life you want, and depending on just type of life you're leading right now, not everything is worth grinding over. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Not everything needs to be grinded on. You know what I mean? It's just taking that advice to the extreme where you're just burning yourself out constantly, but also wasting time grinding something out that is not necessarily worth it to your goals. And I think that's something that you need to be really thinking about, because when you take Goggin-esque advice on like beating the fuck out of everything, of literally big to small details, it's just gonna make you a bit of a schizo, which I mean is not necessarily fully bad, but it's also just wasting your time on things that really do not matter. So just to say I'm grinding in this and that, and it gives you minuscule results to literally no change, it's just not worth wasting your time on. And I cannot tell you exactly what it is specifically. I can tell you from my life, for example, where I'm not grinding out meditation, for example. I haven't meditated in a while, simply because I just enjoy doing more different kind of activities that give me mindfulness anyway, right? I'm not here grinding things out, washing dishes. Like nobody's doing that, bro. Like listen, just relax. Um, some of you may say this is like a non-examples, but trust me, some people do take it that seriously. It's like relax a little bit. But anyway, I cannot tell you exactly universally some things are worth it, not worth it. You're just gonna have to decide it in your life, to be honest. But generally speaking, be smart about why you grind. Okay, if you choose it, just grind it fully. And yeah, you have to be really, really careful, because there has been a recent rise in anti-grinding sentiment, which I get where they come from in a way, where you know it's kind of self-improvement fatigue, and I get that, okay, because the way self-improvement and kind of this culture of like self stuff has been so saturated and milked, that a lot of people started having that self-improvement fatigue. And so of course when a fatigue of something happens, a counter of that will also become very popular. So we have this like anti-grind slap stuff coming over, becoming more popular, and it's like I'm done with self-improvement, it ruined my life, etc. And I just kind of think back to my own self-improvement journey when I started first and like the type of things that I was doing to optimize my life, and I'm still kind of doing to this day. And I get where they come from, because that discomfort that sentiment has towards improvement is real. But the thing is, I personally don't regret any of that, simply because it kind of made the quality of my life more. And even though it was uncomfortable, and even though it's still uncomfortable to this day to kind of, push yourself to the limits, the feedback that you get and the results that you get out of it is just so exponentially more than just staying in one place and just complaining about self-improvement and like grind slop stuff. It's just, not even a discussion. And it's just that the saturation of self-improvement content is the issue here, and it's not necessarily the anti-movement is the thing that's becoming more popular. Self-improvement used to be this more of a personal thing, obviously, and now it's just public. It's public for everybody. It's public for just everywhere. It's available everywhere at every platform, and of course you naturally do get a fatigue of that, and I get it. And in a way, even with my small ass channel, I do contribute to that issue to a certain degree. But you do also have to realize that those videos are watched by people who already are on the journey, right? It's sort of like a filter. The people that start watching the videos usually also pushes those people to start doing their habits and start changing their lives, right? Or it's the type of people that are already on their path. The people that usually fight against that are people that were not on that path from doing self-improvement stuff in the first place, at least not for the reasons that you think that you would be normally, which is to improve yourself and make quality of your life better in spite of discomfort. So I don't think it's an issue necessarily. It's literally just a non-issue. It's just people kind of having this upheaval over the fact that, yeah, whatever, they don't want to go through discomfort of changing themselves, so they just complain about it, and they are concerned too much about what other people are doing anyway. So just ignore that, I would say. But at the end of the day, I think the advice still stands. There's two extremes to this, of like taking the grind everything too literally and like being extreme that, and then the opposite path is just being lazy and there's no point. The answer is usually somewhere in the middle, which is, what Aristotle would say anyway. The answer is kind of always in the middle, and the opposites of each extremes kind of see this middle as like the adversary anyway. So when you get to that point, that's when both sides are kind of against you. You are quite literally in the middle, which is the virtuous middle. But you have to, in your life, decide if whatever you're doing, whatever you're grinding on, is worth it, first and foremost. And just kind of think to yourself, not only what has the most return on investment, so to say, to your progress, but also is something so minuscule, small or big, urgent or non-urgent, so important to me that I spend all my energy wasting on it just to get minimal returns. If something can give you 10, 20 to 30% or more return on investment, it's totally worth it, obviously. But if you're grinding hours on end just to get 1 or 2% improvement, I'm just gonna be real, it's simply just not worth to grind yourself out of that. And you would say, no, but you have to be 1 or 2% ahead of everybody. Buddy, I'm gonna just be so real. That 1 or 2% is non-visible, not for you, not for anybody else. To waste hours on end just to get with that 1 or 2% improvement is simply a waste of time. Okay, it's not visible to you. It's not visible to another person to decide in their mind that you are ahead of them. It is simply a non-issue. Forget about it. Chase bigger returns for your development. Okay, simple as that. The main advice would be, if you're gonna grind something out, make sure that that effort has bigger return on investment than 1, 2, 3, or 4%. You're not doing Kaizen, be 1% better every day stuff, with hours on end of work, right? That's more of a different philosophy, kind of different philosophy. So just forget about over optimizing everything. Just optimize things that give you the most return, and then the rest will kind of take care of itself anyway. Okay, that's really about it. So just stay focused.